What's up, duelists? Wow, Edison Legends. Pff, crazy fucking event. Crazy fucking shit. Today, we're going to be doing something a little different. I'm going to be doing a top 8 player interview with none other than the man himself, Mr. Ark. James, tell me a little bit about your tournament experience at Edison Legends this past weekend.
First off, Keegan, I'd like to say longtime fan of the channel.
I'm
Um,
glad to have you on, man. Glad to have you on.
yeah,
It's been a
I've
it's been
been
a long
I've been
time
waiting.
coming.
Huge
Yeah.
fan of Edison format. Um, my tournament was great, and I mean, obviously, I'd been a little behind the scenes, helping get stuff together for it. But we thought it was a good idea that one of us should play and one of us should commentate, just to
Absolutely.
kind of like represent what we're doing. And Keegan graciously chose to commentate, so I was able to play. And yeah, Keegan, you also helped me a lot with this deck, and Dragons is something that you have more experience with than me. So we kind of worked on a little bit together, updating some old lists. But overall, I had a really nice tournament experience. It was just so cool because as much of a sort of like rush and fun as it is to compete, it's also simultaneously it's like wow, I really uh, pulled something off for this little community that felt really significant. And it was just very apparent and visible how excited people are, and that's me talking to every person that I'm playing against, and they're saying that they're having a good time. So it really felt great to compete and to put it on.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. Let's go ahead and talk about a little bit more of the fine details here. Some of the
Yeah.
really interesting inclusions in your deck. You opted to play dragons, and you said it was with a little convincing from your boy. Do you think I talked you into it, or do you think that you felt like it was actually just a good choice?
No, I don't think you talked me into it at all. I think you were telling me to play fairy, and then I also had my own ideas of playing decks that I'm more used to. But I actually have been playing dragons in some ranked games, just kind of as a fun deck. Because honestly, playing against you back months ago when I was kind of like getting into the community, dragons was a powerful and scary deck. So I was always interested to kind of try it out for myself. And just going into this one, I mean, really the deciding factor for me was like, okay, I know there's going to be a lot of Blackwing. I know there's going to be a lot of Gladiator Beasts. And I thought there would actually be more Fairy. There was virtually none. But just because that was like the most recent winning deck. Um, so yeah, I just thought, hey, dragons seem like. I also the other decks that I play, Vayu and Fish. I knew people would be pretty prepared for Fish. In fact, I think the guy that won, Topher, was maining the Dark Bribes, and I definitely beat him with Fish. A couple weeks ago against Blackwing, and he was saying that he really wants the bribes for the Trinades for the Cold Wave, to stop big combos like that. So I can't help but imagine that that was a factor. But the point is that people were prepared for Fish, and I also didn't really want to play a bunch of Vayu mirrors, even though I thought I had a pretty good shot at beating those too. But it just felt like, to be less predictable, a good idea to use dragons. So I
Yeah,
ended up.
yeah, and I think that your deck choice obviously performed well for you. You had some pretty high profile matches. We they may or may not be up on the channel before or after this video goes up, but um, some good shit all around. You opted to play triple Upstart Goblin, triple Book of Moon. This spell lineup is really interesting to me. Do you want to kind of walk through the thought process behind that?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, that's the biggest change from the older Dragon lists that you had played, or probably that, are played in general in Edison format. And, the top three players all made triple upstart, and then I did as well. I think another player in top eight did as well. So, I mean, Upstart does its thing, like, and I guess people are starting to kind of come around to it in certain decks. I think in this deck in particular, can't really speak on whether it's good in those other ones, but like I was just finding that having additional copies of the dragon monsters was just getting really clunky because like I think in the initial list it was like 20 monsters with like triple totem, a debris, and I don't know, a random copy of another lad or another white knight. And I was just getting really bogged down with additional tributes or with just additional monsters. So I just thought, I mean, yeah, I want to hit my traps. I want to hit my Future Fusion or Sarco. Like, you just need to kind of be able to play. And in this deck, that means, honestly, if we're being real, it means resolving Future Fusion or hitting a good like red med plus trap setup. And Upstart just gets to those, and you're putting out so much damage that the life doesn't really matter. So I think it was a really good inclusion.
True, true. Speaking of Future Fusion, this card is absolutely bonkers. I saw you resolve it several times throughout the tournament. Fucking crazy card. It would obviously be the MVP of your deck if I asked you. But other than Future Fusion, was there any other like super specific card you want to give a shout out to in your deck? Say like this card overperformed, this card underperformed, or was it all kind of as expected?
Um, hmm. I mean, always loved the trap does shoot solemn judgment. I think Road was pretty strong. I resolved Road more than maybe I thought I would because I was really on the fence about it going into the tournament. Um, and then aside from that, I would have to say just like the upstart Sarco engine. You know, there were definitely some times that I drew Sarco like kind of behind, and it lost me the game. But I was in pretty bad spots in those anyway. So I just think like that engine being able to find whatever you need. That also the second guy using Absolute Zero played as well. That really like just created a good engine for the deck. The My Body and the side deck was also really good.
Yeah. Do you think there's any changes like moving forward? Seeing more of the metagame, like seeing more of how it's like kind of coming to life after Edison Legends. Is there any changes you'd like to make for anyone watching this, like just off the top of your head?
Um, yeah, not really. I think that you could drop a Book of Moon, whether it be for another monster or some sort of other defensive configuration. Could be good ideas. You're um, and then beyond that, I feel like the deck is kind of it just does what it does. Like I was just saying with those engine pieces, but you certainly can swap out which exact traps you're using based on meta trends. Um, and one thing that I'm just wondering if, if these kind of one for one removals like bottomless and deep prison are going to end up being still the way to go. Um, but as of right now, like I don't have some overarching changes that I would like definitely fix this. I think I would like to put another monster in somehow, but and another dragon because to keep the totem live. But I don't know whether that would be um, even a second exploder or one debris or another tuner, flammable guard, or any of these types of things. And then the side deck again that could change based on the metagame.
For sure. There's just one more thing I've got to ask you about, dude. What Luster
Okay,
Dragon, dude? How did you come up with that? That's a crazy
glad you
pick.
asked. Yeah, that is a crazy pick. I'm nuts for that one. No, I mean, so it again just I think the having the right monster count in this deck is really important because for a number of reasons, right? Like you need a dragon in hand to make your Drago stick on the field, and you also basically need to always have a backup normal summonable dragon plus red med in hand. I mean, that's the ideal. Like you can, because then you can kind of throw whatever monsters you have on the board into back row and bait out as much as you want, as long as you kind of have that like trump comeback play. And unfortunately, Draco also doesn't really work in that situation because it prevents you from banishing itself because you can't summon the dark, which is red med. So you need like another small dragon to do that. And especially in this kind of like turf war matchups that I think of, like Blackwing and GB, when it's like oftentimes the first person to get really ahead just ends up winning the game really quickly. So I just really like its stat line. Happens to be the same as Drago, but swinging over Shuras and Laquarias and stuff. But just
And the 1600 defense.
being another normal summonable thing um, to get your plays live, as well as I didn't do this too much, but you can swap it out with. It was more coming in as an extra dragon, but you can also swap it out with the Drago because I mean they're kind of the same thing in matchups that, yeah, Yeah, but in matchups that Drago isn't actually shutting down a lot of, like, if they really aren't playing any later dark special summons, which is very few decks, but it does happen, then Luster Dragon is actually just strictly better because it doesn't die, doesn't have potential to die, and you can banish it. So in those situations, I mean, it would be a 1-to-1 swap. That wasn't exactly how I used it, but um, yeah, I still like it. I mean, again, it depends on the meta whether I think that like an additional monster, additional beater is gonna be the way to best way to combat Black Wings or Clouds or these types of decks.
For sure. For sure. Interesting stuff. I was about to say that the 1600 defense is actually quite real in this format too. There's
Yep.
a lot of monsters that can't attack over a booked Luster Dragon. But the deck looks
Mm-hmm.
great, James. Your performance was stellar. Top 8 finish in a tournament of 123 players. Really fantastic stuff. Excited to see what you do more with this deck in the future. Thanks for joining me on the channel. I hope maybe we could do something again in the future. I know you're a very busy
Yeah,
man,
I am
grinding
busy.
the goat ladder and whatnot.
You know, I think I could run. I think I could run this channel better than you, to be honest. But we'll touch on that a different time. We'll touch on that
Yeah,
a different
yeah,
time.
yeah. We'll have to see about that one.
Yeah,
In any case,
put me in.
smash like, subscribe. You know the vibe. Peace out, duelists.